The police station smelled faintly of coffee, old leather, and stale cigarette smoke. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, throwing pale light onto desks stacked with paperwork. On the far side of the holding area, a young woman sat silently in a metal chair, her wrists bound with steel handcuffs. Her dark hair, tied back in a neat braid, didn't disguise the steady focus in her eyes. She wasn't panicked, she wasn't pleading, she simply waited. "Name?" Sergeant Holloway barked, flipping open a notepad. He towered above her, shoulders straining the seams of his uniform. "Lieutenant Commander Alexandra Hayes," the woman replied evenly. Holloway smirked. "Cute. And what unit are you impersonating today?" She didn't flinch. "Naval Special Warfare Development Group, SEAL Team 6. The room filled with chuckles. A couple of junior officers leaned back in their chairs, shaking their heads. "Lady, do you have any idea how many phonies try this every year?" Holloway said. "SEALs don't just stroll in here dropping titles like they're ordering coffee." Alexandra shrugged, the chains clinking softly. "Believe whatever you want. But if you don't release me soon, you'll regret delaying me." Her calmness only irritated Holloway further. He slammed the notepad shut. "You're under arrest for impersonating a member of the U.S. Navy SEALs. That's a federal offense. You're not walking out of here anytime soon." One officer, a younger man named Turner, hesitated. "Sarge, her uniform looked a broken bar legit, even had the trident pinned on it." Holloway shot him a glare. "Pawn shops sell knockoffs every day. Don't be gullible." Turner quieted, though unease flickered in his eyes. The truth was, Alexandra hadn't been arrested on the street. She had walked directly into the precinct on her own. Her mission was classified, but she'd needed temporary assistance from civilian law enforcement to track an arms dealer moving stolen weapons through the port. Instead, the officers had laughed at her credentials, accused her of faking military service, and clamped cuffs on her wrists. She could have fought back as she was trained to disarm and incapacitate men twice Holloway's size, but instead she had allowed it. Fighting her way through local police would jeopardize her operation. She needed proof, and proof would come soon enough. Hours later, the heavy steel doors swung open, the chatter in the precinct quieted. A tall figure in crisp white uniform stepped inside, gold insignia gleaming on his collar. His presence commanded silence. Admiral Jonathan Pierce. Every officer stiffened, unsure why someone of his rank would visit a small city police station. Holloway puffed up his chest, trying to look composed. "Admiral Pierce, Cyril, welcome. To what do we owe the honor?" Pierce's blue-gray eyes swept across the room until they landed on Alexandra. For the first time that day, her expression softened. She gave the faintest nod of recognition. The Admiral approached the desk. "I received a rather disturbing report that one of my officers is being detained here on charges of impersonation." Holloway jumped in quickly. "Yes, sir. This woman waltzed in claiming she was a Navy SEAL, said she's with the U.S. Team 6. Clearly she's a fraud. We get these wannabes all the time." Pierce turned to Alexandra, his expression unreadable. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes, care to explain?" She inclined her head respectfully. "Sir, I identified myself, but these officers refused to verify through proper channels. My mission clock is running. Admiral, I need release." Holloway frowned. "Sir, you can't actually believe Hera." But Pierce wasn't listening to him. His gaze fell to Alexandra's forearm, where the cuff of her sleeve had shifted. A dark ink pattern wrapped around her skin, the distinctive frog skeleton wearing a scuba mask and carrying a guna known simply as the Frogman tattoo. Pierce's voice rang through the room, low but commanding. "That tattoo's authentic." Silence dropped like a hammer. Holloway blinked, confused. "With all due respect, sir, anyone can get a tattoo." "Not that one," Pierce cut in sharply. "The design is restricted. Only operators who've completed Bud.S and earned the trident wear it. The inkwork itself is commissioned through channels civilians don't even know exist. Each is registered by hand." The Admiral's eyes narrowed at Holloway. "And I know this particular tattoo. I approved the request myself." Every officer in the room froze. Turner's face went pale. The laughter that had filled the air hours before evaporated. Pierce leaned over, unlocking Alexandra's cuffs with his own key. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes is one of the most decorated special operators in our ranks. She has led missions you'll never read about, saved lives you'll never know were in danger, and risked everything for this country, and you thought she was a con artist." Holloway stammered. "Yes, sir, we had to be cautious. Impersonating an officer, I say. Caution is one thing, disrespect is another," Pierce snapped. Freed from her restraints, Alexandra rubbed her wrists, then squared her shoulders. "With permission, Admiral, I'd like to return to my assignment." "Not yet," Pierce said. He turned toward the officers. "You owe this woman more than an apology." Turner was the first to step forward. His voice trembled. "Mama broken Baria, I'm sorry. I should have listened instead of laughing." Alexandra gave a small nod. "Noted." But Holloway's pride flared. "With all due respect, Admiral, how were we supposed to know? She walked in here dressed like a professional." Pierce cut him off. "Your job was to verify, not ridicule. The Navy provides direct lines for exactly this reason. Instead, you detained one of my best operators, jeopardizing her mission. If her objective fails, that blood is on your hands." The weight of those words settled hard on the room. After a pause, Alexandra spoke again, her tone calm but steely. "Admiral, I don't need apologies. I need assistance. The target I was tracking, arms dealer Victor Morozova, has shipments moving through the docks tonight. I can't afford further delays." Pierce's gaze hardened. "Then let's correct this mistake. Sergeant Holloway, congratulations, you and your men will be assisting Lieutenant Commander Hayes." Under her command, Holloway's jaw dropped. "Sir, you heard me," Pierce said. "You wanted proof she's authentic? Consider this your field test." That night, under the cover of fog, the precinct officers found themselves crouched behind shipping containers at the port, weapons drawn. For most of them, it was the first real operation of their lives. Alexandra moved like liquid shadow, signaling silently, scanning perimeters with practiced ease. Even Holloway, who had dismissed her as a fraud, couldn't deny the lethal precision in her movements. At 0200 hours, a black SUV rolled onto the docks. Men climbed out, unloading crates stenciled with Cyrillic markings. Alexandra signaled Turner to flank left, Holloway to cover the rear. They obeyed without question. The takedown was swift. Alexandra disarmed two guards with fluid efficiency, sweeping one's legs while locking the other in a chokehold until he collapsed. The officers surged forward, adrenaline pumping, securing the rest of the suspects. Within minutes, the crates were seized inside, dozens of stolen rifles and explosives destined for the black market. As the suspects were cuffed and dragged away, Holloway stared at Alexandra, chest heaving. "You a broken bar, you took down two men like it was nothing." She looked at him evenly. "Next time you doubt someone's service, remember what you saw tonight." Back at the precinct the following morning, Admiral Pierce gathered the shaken officers. "Let this be a lesson," he said. "Not all heroes wear visible medals. Some operate in silence, bearing scars you'll never see. The least you can offer them is respect." He turned to Alexandra. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes, outstanding work. Report to me for debriefing." She nodded, then glanced back at the room full of humbled officers. Her final words were steady, quiet, but sharp enough to cut. "You thought I was impersonating a SEAL," she said. "The truth is I am one. And the only reason you can sit safely behind the desk tomorrow is because people like me are out there tonight." With that, she walked out, leaving silence in her wake. No one laughed again.